All right. Hello, everybody. This is Irina Strunina, and this is our podcast, Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360. We go live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And here we are talking about life with diabetes from different angles with different people, healthcare professionals, and every last Thursday of the month, I am inviting to be my guest someone who is living with diabetes and can share their experiences from inside, from the inside the vehicle. All right. So, welcome people who just discovered us. Welcome back, those who are following us already for a while. We are on YouTube as well. So, if you are watching us in YouTube, please like us and follow us. It's important. And today, I wanted to introduce my very good friend, Rebecca Sayre. She is our group member. She is a nurse. She's been on our podcast and on our events in the past. And I don't know why we didn't have the podcast with her again with this new learning skill that she right now is very passionate about. So, welcome, Rebecca. Welcome to the podcast. And please introduce yourself so I don't need to give all the details about you because you know them better.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Irina. So I am a nurse by trade. I have been a nurse for over 30 years, since, oh gosh, 1984, I think. I've done a lot with my nursing, and I'm very passionate about being able to help people live a better quality life.
Mhm.
One of the things that I got into in my last job that I was working at, so I was working at a wound care center, and one of my nurses said that we needed better resources for quitting smoking. I happened to just stumble upon this course for neurolinguistic programming, which is about how the unconscious mind processes information. And when I took that course, somebody said, "Is this good for smoking?" And they said, "No, hypnosis is the best resource for smoking." So I then found myself an online accredited hypnosis training that I took for an entire year. And I used the hypnosis in a variety of different sources, but since 2018 have been primarily using it to help people quit smoking. So hypnosis is so cool, right? It's tapping into the part of our mind that actually runs a lot of our behaviors and activities and things that we don't think about and we just automatically do. And I think it's super interesting. I think it's super fun. I absolutely love dabbling in hypnosis. And yeah, so it can be useful in a lot of different ways. And I thought it would be fun to talk about.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. And I know we spoke about it in the past. I learned from you quite a few interesting pieces of information that I didn't know about before that. And I am very excited that we could talk about it a little bit more today and hopefully in the future as well. I am looking forward to work with you together to help our people, those who want it, right? It's important to make this decision. And the very often I hear from people that the reason why they don't want to quit smoking, the reason why they are smoking is because this is helping them to cope with stress. And we are always are talking that stress is a huge contributor to the blood sugar levels. Can you help us a little bit with that part? First of all, stress as a contributor to diabetes and uncontrolled stress, I have to say, because we all have stress, but uncontrolled stress, how that can help people if they can lower their stress level, how that it can help people to manage their blood sugar levels.
A great question, Irina. So stress has such a huge impact, and the medical field has been recognizing over recent years the impact, for our heart health, right? Increases the risk of having heart attacks, increases the risk of having strokes. And with diabetes, What sometimes people don't realize is that when we're in a state of high stress, we're actually releasing more cortisol into our system.
Hmm.
The thing about cortisol is it triggers a blood sugar spike. For instance, working in the hospital, right, when we would put people on steroids, we would immediately have to start monitoring their sugars and giving them insulin, even if they were somebody that never took insulin because the cortisol would spike the sugar so much. We had to manage that while they were getting the steroids. And then once they came off the steroids, we no longer needed to give them the insulin or monitor their sugars as frequently. So the body naturally produces these steroids, and when we are stressed, that's one of the major triggers for releasing those steroids. Once those steroids are released, then of course our blood sugar goes right up. And stress is one factor that is actually something that we can manage.
Well, talking about this, interesting, you know, we hear in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, very often when people say, I practically didn't eat a thing. I am going through such a tough situation in my life or maybe in my at my work that I'm not hungry, so I don't eat. Why my blood sugar is so high? Yes, I am stressed, but how does that affect it? Because it's not something that I put in my mouth. I don't put anything in my mouth. Where the sugars are coming from?
Right. And so that when they're stressed, and of course you receive the diagnosis of diabetes, that immediately shoots your stress up, which isn't helping the blood sugars at
Mm.
all.
Yes.
And so therefore it becomes like a catch 22 kind of situation, right? Where you're just caught between a rock and a hard place. So the first thing is, and it's so wonderful to be able to have this group to come into, it's so incredibly supportive, is being able to start getting a handle on, okay, what are the first things that I need to do? The second thing is to recognize it's not only what you eat and the exercise that you do that controls the blood sugar. And there is a lot of times people think that, but it's
Hmm.
so much more. Like one of the things that will increase your stress is not getting enough sleep.
Yes.
And so for people that, don't get enough sleep, and this is really true for like, mothers that have young kids and uh, hectic lifestyles, right? They're juggling raising a family as well as working, a lot of different contributing factors that can, cause that lack of sleep. But when you're not getting enough sleep, that will automatically raise your stress level. It will also increase your craving for sugar because the body's looking for energy, and the fastest way it thinks it can get energy is by giving you the desire to have sugar.
Right, right. Yes, that's very often what we see, right? When we're stressed out, we start reaching for something either sweet or something potato chips or something that we should not be eating as a
Mhm.
food, as a meal, right? But once you
Yeah.
had plenty of, can of Pringles, you kind of like, I'm not hungry anymore. I just had a can of potato and but it's definitely is not helping. All right. So and when you were taking those hypnosis classes, uh we all kind of assume that hypnosis is supposed to help, but how it helps with diabetes? I mean, what?
So a lot of what I work with is habits, right? These behaviors that we do automatically without even thinking about it. And so we get into patterns. Our unconscious mind is where the habits live. It likes patterns. It likes things to be automatically regulated. And so therefore it prompts us to do the same behaviors. So think about diabetes, right? You've got the increased stress. You just got this diagnosis of diabetes. You're dealing with the increased stress. A lot of people deal with increased stress by eating food.
Yeah.
And then what are the foods that they're eating? Exactly like you said, right? Those potato chips or something sweet, or it's typically something that's carb filled because that's where all the sugars are raising. And so that's giving that immediate burst of energy, which thinks like, okay, I can handle this and I can deal with this. But really what it's doing is it's driving up your blood sugar. So
Hmm.
it's about resetting, right? And hypnosis is all about being able to just reset, right? Say, okay, this is how it's working right now. We need to create a new image of how things are going and then start to, peel the layer of the onion and say, okay, we're going to start putting into place different behaviors. The ones that we're conscious of, they become easier. Those are the ones we see in the diabetes group a lot, right? And that's the food and the exercise.
Yes.
The ones that people aren't really, as aware of is things that are really driving the behavior. And then there's certain things that people do, like smoking, right? People are stressed and they go for the
Hmm.
cigarette because they think
Yes.
that that calms them down. People are stressed and they go for the food because they think that that calms them down. And so then it's getting to the root cause and the driver of that behavior and making those changes. When we do that, those changes at an unconscious level using hypnosis, it just makes the process easier. It's not required to use hypnosis. It's not,
Hmm.
absolute. It just makes the process easier.
Yeah.
That's, people can do it without hypnosis. There's a ton of people that have changed their lives and they, have never been hypnotized in their whole lives. And it's just about being able to access that part of the mind where these behaviors live and then make the changes at that level.
Yes. Well, yeah, I look at it, it's sometimes people are looking for some quick solution, right? And to change the habit, it takes time. And if there is a way to do it in a faster, like expedited version, why don't use it? I mean, we are going for those expensive shots, we are going for those expensive pills, just with the hope that our behavior will change. This is non-invasive. This is all you are doing the work, right?
You
And
doing the
with
work.
the help of an expert, you could get even better results because you didn't put any chemicals in your body. You are moderating how your body is reacting. I think this is just a great thing to just to be able to know about it.
I love that you bring up you are doing the work. That's 100% it. And that is what I tell, every person that I work with is I'm simply a facilitator. I'm simply guiding you along a path, but you're the one who's actually giving that suggestion to yourself. You're the one who's actually tapping into the reason that you want to make the change, right? You're the one who's actually accepting the suggestions and the reframes, and you're the one who then at the end of it is able to make that choice that no, I'm not going to do that behavior anymore, right? It's never something that's being done to you, you're doing it. And
Yes.
so I love that you brought that up because that is exactly how it is.
Well, yes, I just today was talking with the young man, and he is having his own challenges with relationships with coworker and trying to influence coworker to change some of the behaviors. I'm saying, look, you can support him in those changes, but you really cannot uh, do anything until he decides himself that he wants it. So,
Mhm.
same thing with anything, right? What we have in terms of smoking, in terms of eating habits, or maybe exercises, or maybe I don't know what else. I cannot even, I mean, anything. It
Stress management.
we want to start wanting it, and then it helps to do everything else. Everything else after that is much easier. Still requires work and
Mhm.
time, but it's much easier because you know why. Because you know why you're doing this, right?
Yeah. The why, right, changes it from being something that you're sacrificing to putting yourself into a place of empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Because that reason actually then takes on almost an energy and an entity of its own. And so when you really focus on why you want that change and you hold that reason and you really hold on to that, you keep the vision of that, right? Like some gurus like Bob Proctor or will recommend writing it down, putting it on a card, holding it in your pocket. If you're doing it for like a child, or putting their picture in your pocket, and then every time that you're going to go to that old behavior, pull out that why, pull out that reason. Because if you put them in two hands, right, which one weighs more, right?
Yes,
Is it the behavior, or is it that reason that you're quitting? And you want that reason that you're quitting to be so powerful that it's going to win every time.
absolutely. Yes. This is such a unexpected direction we're taking now, talking about our whys, but this is, you know, I believe that people who are in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, they are already on the way to recovery compared to those who are not in our group. And I'm not by any chance right now trying to say that we are the best group, although I think we're a pretty good group. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be our member, because we have enough members for our five admins to help out and to manage. So we are gladly accepting anybody, because it means that this person already taking the first step. They already looking for the ways how to get better. And everybody is different. For somebody, they need to lose weight. For somebody else, they need to gain weight. For somebody, they need to do more exercises. For somebody, they need to change completely the way how they exercise. So a lot of different styles and changes should be made. But the fact that people are coming to us, they are already in search for their why, or maybe they already have their why, and they're looking for ways to get better. And I am so glad that somebody, our mutual friend, connected us. And you, in addition to just being able from the medical standpoint to help people, because you said you got this diabetes education certification as well. So this is extremely important that you can help, but you also have this extra skill that helps people to get why quitting smoking is so helpful for people with diabetes.
It's so interesting. Most people have no idea that there's actually sugar in cigarettes. And I know when I shared it with you the first time, you were
Yes,
surprised.
yes.
And so cigarettes are actually soaked, the tobacco leaves are actually soaked in something sweet, whether it's fermented fruit or molasses or whatever it is, they're soaked in something sweet, and then they're dried. And so every time that you take a puff of a cigarette, you're actually inhaling that sugar into your lungs. And from your lungs are very, very porous. It goes directly out into your bloodstream. It's almost like giving yourself a teeny tiny injection of sugar every time you take a puff of a cigarette. And sometimes when people quit and they think that they're having withdrawal symptoms, they're really having sugar cravings
Hmm.
because their body is used to getting that hit of sugar and it's no longer getting it. And you have to just, drink more water and let it get out of your system, which it does very quickly. I mean, really within, a day, 2 days, it's completely gone and out of your system. After that, it's just the mental part of it. But people don't realize that the Center for Disease Control actually states that people who smoke have a higher risk of developing diabetes because of the fact that the cigarettes have sugar in it, and people who smoke tend to have a harder time managing their diabetes because there's this sugar factor that even a lot of doctors have no idea that there's sugar in cigarettes.
Yes, I've heard that. I've heard this surprising response from doctors when I told them this. And it's interesting because it actually goes very well with the fact that right now is getting more and more known and popular, that the sugar has creates stronger addiction than the some narcotics, right? So once you support it, feed it on a regular basis, it's getting harder and harder to quit, and withdrawal is definitely crucial, cruel.
It can be tough.
Yes.
Been there, done that. Oh my God.
Yes, that's what I've heard from many people, and but at the same time, I also know a lot of people who used to be smokers, but something happened in their life, and it could be information that they read or somebody else's health issues, maybe death, because of some results of smoking for years and years. I have no idea. It's different people, but sometimes people just decide that I just need to be healthy because I have grandchildren now, and I would like to be around and see how they grow, how they go to school, how they perform, how they get married, I would like to see it all. I would like to witness it all. And because of this, I've heard many times that smoking is not good for me. Let me stop it. And they stop it like on a date when they make a decision.
The real secret to it all, right, is that our emotions live in the unconscious in the same place that our habits live. And
Hmm.
when there's something that's emotionally impactful and you make a decision in that time of the emotion, right? It clicks and they connect in the unconscious. And that's where those people that make a decision and then they just stop because they've experienced the emotion. And the emotion you have to really, bring it up so it's significant, because if it's not significant, you're not going to remember it.
Yes.
The emotion is significant, and then you make a decision, and boom, and the change happens like literally instantly.
Okay. All right. So hypnosis, I was listening to you when you were talking about hypnosis. Can we relate it to meditation or it's different?
Really, really similar to meditation. And going back to stress management, right?
Hmm.
Meditation is a great way to really start decreasing the amount of stress and cortisol in your system. If you were to hook somebody up to an EEG, which is where they put all the wires on the head, right?
Yes.
And then they start measuring, and you had one person in hypnosis and another person in meditation, the brain waves would actually look the same.
All right.
And so we're accessing the same part of the mind when you're doing meditation and hypnosis. The difference is that in meditation, typically we're taught to just simply empty our mind. So I did a meditation this morning and I had classical music playing in the background and I could hear the clock ticking. And so I focused my conscious mind, right, just on the music. I wanted to hear the clock ticking no matter what the music was doing. And if the music got loud, I would have to really focus on the clock ticking to hear it. As a result, the only thing that my mind was focused on was the music and the clock ticking. And
Hmm.
when I opened my eyes and I thought like maybe 10 minutes had passed, my goal was to do a 20-minute meditation. I'm thinking like, oh, I might not have made it. Over 30 minutes had passed.
Oh, wow.
I was just focusing on the classical music and the clock ticking, right? And just those two things. It was keeping my conscious mind busy. So I was able to really drop deep into that meditative state. And when you're in that state, time actually doesn't exist, which is why you don't have a sense of time, which is why I thought like, oh, it was a really short time. And really, it was a lot longer.
Well, they also say time flies when you're having fun. So I guess you was having a lot of fun.
True. The meditative state's pretty cool.
All right. Okay. Okay. Well, the way how I look at it also, and I mean, I didn't think about it, but now when we talked about it, when we meditate, sometimes it could be guided meditation, sometimes it could be you help yourself, right? And you learn the technique. With the hypnosis, you need a coach, right? You need someone who will lead you through it. You cannot do self-hypnosis, or you can.
Absolutely can do self-hypnosis. If you get yourself into that meditative state and you already know like what the suggestions are that you want to give yourself, you can, the real key, right, is to make sure that it's stated in what you want and not what you don't want.
Okay.
Because the unconscious mind tends to put images on whatever you say. So if I was to say to you, do not think about a blue elephant,
Oh yeah.
what's the first thing that pops up in your head?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right? A blue elephant. So the unconscious mind is taking that as a command to go find a blue elephant. right?
Okay.
And so when you say, I don't want to smoke, then what's happening is it's creating an image of you smoking because you have to think about what you don't want before you can, before you can actually say, oh no, I'm not going to do this. Instead, you have to create that image of what do I look like not smoking?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What does my life look like not smoking? What does my life look like, right? With my, stress gone out of my life, feeling calm, relaxed, peaceful. Bring in those words that are the opposite of the stress that you're experiencing. Because when you say, I
Absolutely.
don't want to be stressed, the unconscious mind is taking it as a command to
Yes.
find more stress to bring into your life.
Wow. Yes. Yes. That's great. Now, here's I have two questions for you. One question would be, uh, is it available? Can you help people? Do you offer any classes so people can actually use your expertise and help themselves to stop this habit, or how they can reach out?
Absolutely. I have been doing one-on-one sessions for quit smoking since 2018. I
Hmm.
recently just took a training for group hypnosis, and I'm really excited to actually jump into it. As a nurse, I started off as a bedside nurse, right, working in a hospital, taking care of patients. After doing that for several years, I realized that I could actually help more patients if I took care of the nurses who take care of the patients.
Yes.
Therefore, I became a nurse manager, right? I moved into nursing leadership. And I've come to that same point in my hypnosis practice, right? I
Uh-huh.
can help more people if I bunch them together in a group. And because they all have the same intention, the energy in that group actually magnifies and makes, brings in an additional benefit that is, that you don't get in the one-on-one session. Now, the one-on-one session is customized specifically to the person, but the group hypnosis has, really a good energetic benefit. And it's most people, right? There's a lot of similarities in why they want to quit and the things they don't like about smoking. And so the group hypnosis sessions, can be very effective.
Well, this is something to look forward to because I think we will need to have this happening in our group with your help, of course. So, anyone who is listening to us, I am talking to Rebecca about the fact that we need to have those sessions offered to our group members. So, anyone who is ready to quit smoking and is looking for help, doesn't know how to do it, Rebecca is your person, and we will help you to find her, connect with her, and do that. Of course, you can start. Don't wait for us and reach out to her right away, but or you could just keep your eyes open to our featured posts in the group, and when Rebecca is ready to conduct those sessions, we will be posting it in events. We will be posting it in group announcements. So. Uh, a lot of things coming up that we are working on right now. One more quick question. What one thing, something that anyone can grab and use right away if they want to start making changes? What would you recommend people who want to start making changes? They cannot wait, they want to start improving, what they can do?
I think the one thing is really connecting to that why, the reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And making sure that that reason is emotional,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the emotional impact of that reason has a lot of impact with the unconscious mind because the emotions live in the same place that the habits or the behaviors live. So if you really connect to that reason that you want to make that change, keep your eye focused on that reason and on that, image of what it looks like when the change is complete. Then you'll start intuitively, getting the pings of the next step to take and, things to do to be able to help you move in that direction.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, Thank you, Rebecca. Don't leave yet, but I need to make a couple announcements here in the for our people. Really reminders about different services, I would say, help that we are offering to our group members. And one thing I wanted to remind everyone, let me close my screen, that every Tuesday we have our Telenurse Tuesday event. This is when we have nurses, um, registered nurses coming to our group and answering your questions. So if someone has questions, just look for this banner and put in the comment section your questions. On Tuesdays, our nurses will come at 7 p.m. Eastern and go over your questions and answer them. The next thing I wanted to remind that every other Wednesday, we have our support group meeting, and this is when we meet in Zoom, not in Facebook group, and we different people who just diagnosed or maybe been diagnosed for a while. They feel they need support. They have questions. They meet with me, with our admins, with some healthcare providers. Some very often we have dietitians joining us, some other experts joining us, and you have a chance to ask those questions that you might have. Of course, on Thursday, we have our Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360 podcast at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you feel that this is something that you enjoy, first of all, you can find those podcasts in our featured posts pinned on top of the Facebook group, or you could go to smartmove360.com and click there on the tab podcast and listen to all of them. We have them in YouTube and we have them posted in Spotify. And what else? This is Thursday. And one more thing, this coming weekend, we have our last Diabetic Healthcare Expo coming up, last for this year, 2024. We will then have a break for 2.5 months. And this is when I am saying it's a Diabetes 101 crash course for newly diagnosed. This is the way, the place to learn from experts different aspects, what you need to know about life with diabetes, because this is something that is not only, as Rebecca already mentioned today, it's not only what you eat, it also how you move, how you manage your stress, what your relationships are. All these are important parts of our lives. So Smart Move 360, this is the reason. 360 angle, this is how we need to look at our life, no matter what, diabetes or not, relationships or not, job situations or not. We got to be how to say, look at it from every angle. Let's just stay with this. Thank you, Rebecca, for joining me today. We are done with this conversation for today. We have a lot of other items to discuss with you. I'm looking forward to meet you with you again on a podcast, on master classes, on expos. Thank you for being available for us today.
Thank you for having me, Irina.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.